to soar. Don't be scared of my sharp, sharp teeth and my mighty, mighty roar. I'm very the scary rats and I'm a scary dinosaur.
There's other guys, what they look like.
Live from Phoenix Region 1, open mics, not everyone's Golden Show, Golden Debate Show, earlymorningmob.com. Also check out the Golden Cuts and the Golden Reel Challenge. And if everything else goes to hell, blame it on Putin. Like, comment, share, download. It's the only way that we get the word of this show out. Keep the Golden Truth alive.
Here, the Golden Debate Show.
Warning, don't fucking fly no jets or even fucking airplanes of no sorts over Ukraine and Russia. Hey everybody. Welcome to the Golden Debate Show. Let's get it in with my man Dabu7.
This is Dabu7. This is a heads up alert for anyone
crazy,
that may commute across
so they take
the
down the
Brooklyn
American
Bridge.
flags and they put up white flags. Everybody knows what the white flag means, right? I ain't giving up. Fuck that. Like, comment, share,
and here
download.
within the past year, we've also seen kids and other people sneak right past security, cut through fences, and make their way all the way to the top of the new World Trade Center. Now, we have had people slip past security, and this is what's amazing. This is supposed to be one of the most secure places in America, the Brooklyn Bridge. There are police posts at both ends of the bridge, and they are constantly monitoring the whole bridge off camera feed. Now, what has just happened is apparently overnight, someone or a group of people made their way onto this bridge. They slipped past the security on both ends, making their way in and making their way out. They then climbed up, took down the American flag, and replaced it with a white flag. Now, these posts, these flags are lit up at night by a light below it. How can you miss this? Is the thing. Lights shining bright all night long. Cameras on it. There's supposed to be security at both ends of the bridge. And you're telling me that people were able to get onto this bridge and not only do it once, but twice? This is just a big red alert. Now, there are reports here all across the place, different outlets, stating this and that. One group tried to come out and claim responsibility for it, but it was a parody site, and it's just not the case. They're stating that they are confident the police will find out who did this. Really? I wouldn't be that confident because they let these people slip right past them, right underneath their nose. My point of this is this. If somebody can slip onto this bridge past security and put up a flag that's lit up for every eye in the city to see, knowing there's cameras everywhere, then anyone, those same people could slip back into any spot and plant a device. If they could get past security this easy, this is a huge red alert. Now, they're stating that it looks like these white flags actually have stars and stripes on them that are faded. Now, we're never going to know for sure because the police took them, but these are massive, large flags that are lit up by light, as you can see right down here. How does this happen? Area under NYPD video surveillance constantly. I think the picture says it all. How does it happen? Cameras everywhere in the vicinity, top of this pole. Anyway, figured I'd share it with you guys. Mystery white flags show up on top of the Brooklyn Bridge. Back in 2010, there was an announcement made in Brazil that they were going to construct a new Temple of Solomon, a recreation of Solomon's temple in Israel. Now, in doing so, they said that it would put the Christ the Redeemer statue in the shade because of the massiveness of this object. The structure, as you can see right here, dominates any other structure in the area. Absolutely massive. It is completed and it is set to open July 31st of this year. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding this because some people say that it goes against everything the original temple stood for, being in the Holy Land. Other people say different, say that it's still symbolic. Other people state that it's just a massive structure that they cannot believe, Brazil had the money to put forth when many of the people were living in the slums. We'll come to find out it was the richest pastor in Brazil that was behind this. What they did is they brought in stones from Israel, where a majority of this whole temple is actually like walking into a piece of Israel. Now, I thought after seeing just the sheer size of it, man, it is a massive complex. Now, there'd been talk about this years and years and years ago when they were trying to draw up plans for doing so, but then they've gone ahead and they've done it. You can come and look up the photos here showing the step-by-step construction project throughout the whole thing, them building every little bit of it. Nonetheless, I just wanted to point it out for those that were unaware. This massive structure is set to open in Brazil, and it should be quite the sight to see. It's most definitely, as I showed you right here, you get down here in Sao Paulo, it's going to be the most massive object on the skyline, sticking right up out of the middle of the city. So I'll leave links as always.
Keep your eyes on the prize as well. So let's get in with the Joe Rogan clip from the Joe Rogan
That's
experience.
one of the reasons why that movie's going to suck, because that premise has already been disproven by science. It's not that you only use a certain percentage of your brain. That's not true. Like this idea, humans only use 10% of their brain. They said that in the preview. I was like, no, they don't. They're just starting to understand what parts of the brain are responsible for what functions. And one of the things that they're doing is, this is really interesting shit. I think it's called transcranial TCD something or another. They're putting electrical stimulation on various aspects or various points of your skull. They're putting electrodes on your skull, and they're inducing like this state by emitting electricity, and it feels like mosquitoes are biting you. There's a great episode of this podcast that I listen to all the time, Radio Lab, a recent one. I think the most recent one, in fact, is about this. And this woman went through this. They're learning that it can increase your capacity to learn like dramatically and provable. So this woman went through this thing where she went through sniper training. So in this sniper training scenario, they first you do it sober. They take you through this thing. There's you're at a checkpoint like in Iraq. You know, it's all video simulation. A bomb blows up, and these suicide bombers are running at you with bomb vests on, and they're shooting guns at you, and you got to figure out who's who and pick them off. Well, the first time she did it, it was super frustrating. She got like 3 out of 20, and she kept getting fucked up. It was driving her crazy. It was driving her nuts. Then they put the electrodes on. They juiced her brain. They put electrode on her brain, on her the side of her head, and on her left arm somehow or another, like her right brain, the right side of her head, and her left arm. And then she's like, this isn't going to do anything. She didn't feel any different. She said she felt like a metallic taste in her mouth, like she had just licked an aluminum can or something like that. Then went through the thing, and she said everything moved in slow motion. She said 20 minutes went by in 3 minutes. When it was over, she couldn't believe it was over. She's like, how is it over? She's like, it's only been 3 minutes. And they were like, no, look at the clock. She looked at the clock, 20 minutes has gone by. She was 100% accurate. So from 3 out of 20, she got 20 out of 20 the second time, and she thought it only took 3 minutes. She just went through this thing like she was an expert, and they were like, she became like an assassin.
Yeah, Ohio State actually just had a guy that was paralyzed, and they found how to control the brain for him to actually move for the first time or something like that.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah. I mean, we're talking different. We're talking that's still fascinating, but this is to the average person. This is not people that are paralyzed. The average person, they can increase your capacity to learn
therapy
by using this transdermal stimulation. Transcranial direct stimulation, I think it's called.
I got a serious head injury in college. I got knocked unconscious.
What happened?
Got in a fight, and dude kind of fucked me up. I wrote a comic song. He didn't find it very funny.
So he beat you up and knocked you unconscious?
He was my good friend too. He was my really good friend. Yeah, he was older than I was. He was like 3 years older than I was.
What was it about? What was the song about?
It's about our fraternity. I sang a song about our fraternity, like a lighthearted song, making fun of all the brothers, and that were older than me, obviously. And he didn't find it funny. And so, but I was his friend, so I was like, we're not going to fight. But then I was wrong, and he grabbed me and like suplexed me, and like you know, like you would like if you were going to throw someone, like whoomp, you know. What I mean, like over your shoulder backwards.
He landed you on your head?
I landed on my head, and I was out. And then I came to. I was really confused. And I came to, and he was on top of me, trying to say, because I think I'd swallowed my tongue or something. I'm not certain. But then I got lost. I walked around campus and I got lost and I was really confused.
They just let you go?
It wasn't maternity. It was a fight, and then I just walked away. Like, I just walked away. It was during exams. And so I just walked out.
So your fraternity brothers didn't take you to a fucking doctor after you got knocked unconscious?
He was the only one there.
He didn't take you to a doctor?
No. Well, he just beat me up. I don't think he was concerned about my well-being.
Fraternity
Number 25.
Most
if you have a desk job, you spend approximately 9.3 hours.
So a lot of people that
sitting.
sit down, even if you
Number 24.
work sitting down, or if you just sit down when you get out fucking home, then ain't God
makes you 40% more likely to die within 15 years than someone who sits less than 3, even if you exercise. Number 23. So right up front, we'll give you the takeaway. If you spend most of your day sitting, exercising, and even eating healthy, will do very little to keep you from being overweight or dying young. Why? Well, here's what we know. Number 22. As soon as you sit down, your body basically goes in a meltdown. Electrical activity in your leg muscles shuts off completely. Number 21. Calorie burning drops to 1 calorie per minute. Number 20. Enzymes that help break down fat drop by almost 90%. Number 19. After 2 more hours of sitting, your good cholesterol drops by 20%. Number 18. And after 24 hours, your insulin effectiveness drops by 24%, and your risk of diabetes increases sharply. Number 17. To drive this point home, between 1980 and 2000, exercise rates in the general population stayed the same, possibly even increased, while the number of hours sitting increased by 8%. Obesity, on the other hand, has doubled. Number 16. According to the Mayo Clinic, sitting for most of the day increases your risk of heart attack just as much as smoking. Number 15. In fact, many of the most common killers and illnesses in the West, including diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and even depression, are strongly linked to what researchers have dubbed sitting disease. Number 14. According to a study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology, those who sit have a much higher mortality rate not just from heart disease, but from cancer as well. Number 13. Exercising all day may not be enough to offset the sitting. Number 12. Many people may not be able to help sitting at the office, and we'll get back to that in our conclusion, but it's the extra time sitting at home that is literally
and it was sent to me, of course, when I got to the German document, when I was able to connect that to the outages on radar, and then I talked to I talked to a number of people over the past couple of days, but certainly a lot yesterday. And they said, this is what they trained for. This is the way it would have been done. And, guys who are sitting in these, and actually you need not just 2 guys. There could be 13 people involved in an SA-11 with all the illumination radars, etc. These are not a bunch of drunken boneheads, okay? It's just bullshit. But this was a good one. This was well done, and it was well executed. The target was carefully chosen by a country that has no army. Here come the Dutch. Wait a minute. We got to find the bullet. It's like the Dutch are not going to invade anybody. And the Dutch are so mind-controlled, I hate to say it, all they can do is change their icons on Facebook and Twitter and talk about the bodies and nothing else. And the government is not going to do anything because they're deathly afraid of Putin.
Right, and Malaysian Airlines is not a NATO
No,
plane.
Thank you very much.
So you don't need NATO can.
No Americans on the flight, Europeans on the flight, perfectly chosen, could not be.
And Malaysia's already known as a bonehead operation from the missing plane.
It's Malaysian Airlines flight MH17. There were apparently nearly 100 researchers and advocates traveling to an international conference in Australia dedicated to combating AIDS.
As you know, Putin hates gays.
That was
disgusting.
Even it was disgusting when you played my clip. MH17 France 24 corrects AIDS researchers' numbers.
Mm-hmm.
On that Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 were a number of AIDS researchers on their way to attend an AIDS conference in Melbourne, Australia. That conference began on schedule this Saturday with a minute of silence to remember the victims. 6 researchers were on board that flight and not around 100 as had previously been reported.
Exactly. Ho ho.
Well, besides the knee-jerk stuff.
Down there in one of those catacombs, there's other guys that they look like. I don't know.
We believe.
Yeah, we do, baby.
Ollie, I can't believe I have to say this in 2014.
Oh, yeah.
We believe in equal pay for equal work, and we're willing to fight for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a broad
Yep.
It's good.
Yep.
He does a lot of yup.
You gotta get that out of it.
I love it.
Get rid of that.
Yup. All right.
We believe that equal means equal, and that's true in marriage, it's true in the workplace, it's true in all of America.
Hell yeah.
And we're willing to fight for
America!
it. You bet.
And we're willing to fight for it. You bet.
You bet.
Who's going to pay for this? Who's going to pay? This is interesting. I like this.
We believe that immigration has made this country strong and vibrant, and that means reform, and we are willing to fight for it.
Hell yeah.
Well, his audience is going nuts.
Yeah. They love it. She is it. Almost over.
The science is in.
I love it. Oh, it's orgasmic.
And we believe that corporations are not people, that women have a right to their bodies. We will overturn Hobby Lobby, and we will fight for it.
Fuck the Supreme Court. White guys.
We will fight.
Lobby.
Yeah, fight. Screw the Supreme Court.
Hobby Lobby.
Screw the Supreme Court. We're going to overturn it.
What's there to overturn? He's full of shit.
Yeah. Well, she's your girl, man.
I know.
Yeah. Oh well. Almost done.
For it. Right here in this room. Right here in this room. This is where it happens. This is 21st century democracy. This is the future of America. This is where we decide that we, the people, will fight for what we believe in. We're going to do this together, and we're going to win.
Woo! Win.
It's going to happen.
All right. Yes, we can. And we're going to win, she says.
We're going to win, she says.
I'm impressed.
A little shrill there.
I'm impressed. This will be hard to beat.
Yep. It's beatable, though, but the Republicans won't beat it, because everybody knows we're in the 4-year period where you really don't want to. Whoever wins that election is going to be one term.
One-termer. That's Elizabeth Warren, who a lot of people think that her or Hillary's going to win because of the woman thing. Here's some riddles and jokes from Let's get it in with our motherfucking riddles and physics. What is it that you can keep after giving it to someone else? What is it that you can keep after giving it to someone else? That's number one. Number two.
There's other guys that they
the
look
more you
like,
take,
I don't
the more
know.
you leave behind.
This don't make no sense.
What are they? The more you take, the more you leave behind. What are they? Let's do a little bit of facts now. Forest fires move faster uphill than downhill. In 32 years, there is 1 billion seconds. Men are 6 more times more likely to be struck by lightning than women. A toothpick is the most common choked on by Americans. July through October has the highest rate of birthdays. Walmart, if it was a country, would be the top 25 in productive. Cold water weighs more when it's hot, and honey does not rot. So now let's get it in with what those riddles were. What is it that you could keep after giving it to someone else? Your word. And number 2 was the more you take, the more you leave behind. What are they? Footsteps.
A factory in China has been feeding the world rotten meat.
Because that's not God.
OSI Group, a factory in Shanghai, was
in the
recently
air,
shut down on
the
Sunday
toxins
because
in the water and in the
workers
food
were
ain't enough for
mixing in
people to wake the
expired
fuck
meat
up.
with
What are we
fresh
going to
and
do
sending it off
about
in
it?
batches
Stop
to
fucking buying
restaurants like
McDonald's. That shit got
McDonald's,
fucking pink slime,
KFC,
GMO, and
Starbucks,
it's fucking
Pizza
rotten
Hut.
meat.
The list goes on. So OSI Group is actually incredibly large. It has 16 manufacturing facilities worldwide and a revenue of over $5 billion in 2012 alone. So the impact here is huge.
I am shocked. I always thought the meat that I got from McDonald's was completely pristine and clean. Every time I go there, when I get like my cut up cow udders chopped up and stuff, I want to make sure they haven't been on the floor, you know?
Oh man. Okay, so you bring up a good point. You're saying, shouldn't we have expected this? This is kind of the norm. Like, we don't expect quality from fast food chains. But should we expect them to mix in rotten meat, though, with fresh meat? I mean, there are a lot of concerns here, health concerns. I mean, one thing is quality, another thing is like feeding people things that are going to make them sick.
If anybody has concerns about health, they're not eating it.
Scarlett Johansson stars in the new transhumanist promoting propaganda piece,
breaking down the new Lucy
short
film,
for
which is
Lucifer,
definitely some crazy,
which promotes the idea that humans can supposedly become all-knowing, all-powerful gods
that ain't God.
through the use of brain-enhancing drugs called nootropics. Now, why does this sound familiar to me? Oh, that's right. Bradley Cooper did this a few years ago in Limitless. Although, Lucy supposedly has a supernatural
this
twist.
Is King Midas,
she
and you're
develops
listening to
telekinetic
the
powers
Show.
with her
It's King
mind-altering
Midas
drugs. The
certified.
trailer opens
Golden.
focusing on an eye, highlighting the all-seeing eye Illuminati theme. She can be seen here manipulating space and time with her fantastic supernatural powers that the peon public just can't wait to have. The general public yearns to become a god, and that is the ultimate agenda, at least the promise, the false promise to enslave humanity, under the disguise that the Illuminati mafia, the supposed messiah, will offer mankind
the United States with a higher minimum wage have gained more jobs in recent months. We've made very simple, basic economic arguments for why a reasonably higher minimum wage is good for the middle class. It is a positive thing for the economy. It stimulates demand given the marginal propensity to consume of those who are on the lower end of the income spectrum versus the higher end. We've talked about the positive effect it has on crime reduction to have a slightly higher minimum wage. We've already spoken about San Francisco, which was leading the way on a higher minimum wage and didn't suffer from negative economic repercussions. We've talked about all of that. But now we have more data, and more data, at least for some people, is a good thing. According to a new report by the Associated, as reported by the Associated Press, a study by the Labor Department says that states that enacted higher minimum wages at the beginning of 2014 have already seen the number of jobs available to citizens increase at a higher rate than in the states that did not enact higher minimum wage laws. There are 13 U.S. states that raised their minimum wages at the beginning of this year, and they have added jobs at a faster rate than those states that did not. The 13 states that increased minimum wages have seen jobs grow an average of 0.85% from January through June, whereas the other 37 states saw a 0.61% rise in jobs. This is equivalent to about 33% larger job increases in the states with minimum wage increases compared to those without. Significant?
MH17 victims arrive in the Netherlands, and 2 more jet fighters are shot down on the Ukraine-Russian borderline. Let's see if I can strum her a little more. Vampires are trying to narrow our bandwidth and our frequency, which is our life force. Why can't they see that we're not looking for preachers or teachers? We're just citizens of the universe, and in the grand scheme of things, we're all anomalies, which is just a scientific what the fuck. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, not get more breaks. Living in a digital, hackable world, creation will soon die with their virtual keyboards and their talking type, which equals no culture. When the power's out, so will reading and writing. There's a lot of differences, but how about some similarities? We all breathe air, we all drink water, our blood is red, our cum is white, and our pee is yellow. Hate to be disgusting, but it's truth. So let's all spin on the globe together. EarlyMorningMob.com, Golden Debate Show. BeforeNews.com, Frankenfish threatens to wipe out wild salmon population. Proponents of GMOs prefer that you call it genetically modified salmon. Opponents of GMOs, including natural health advocates, organic food growers, animal welfare groups, environmentalists, commercial fishermen, restaurants, and chefs, have settled on its own name, Frankenfish. But whatever name you call it, AgUventure salmon may soon be available in some stores. The FDA is scheduled to finalize its assessment of the genetically modified fish, may be nearing a ruling. Almost 2 decades after AccuBounty Technologies, the developer of the fish, initially saw approval in 1996. The FDA is facing a firestorm protest over GM salmon. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has already made preliminary findings on GM fish, announcing in December 2012 the approval of the application would not have a significant impact on the U.S. environment. The agency called AccuVenture salmon indistinguishable from conventionally farmed salmon and claimed that it is equally safe to eat. More than 300 agencies, including the Center of Food Safety, have filed statements opposing approval, and 40-member Congress have called for more rigorous review of the product. During the public comment portion of the proceedings, at least 400,000 100,000 people demanded that the approval be denied, and the FDA approval is granted. A growing number of supermarkets, more than 60, have announced that they will refuse to sell the GM salmon. The revolt began with the select companies such as Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, and Aldi's, and has recently grown to include larger companies such as Target, Kroger, and Safeway. Significant retail giant Walmart has refused to comment. Of course, experts say that GM salmon could decimate the wild salmon population. A primary concern of GM fish foes is accidental escape. If GM salmon escape, contaminate, and mingle with native salmon, their larger size would give them an unfair advantage in competing for food. Although the fish are bred to be sterile, the FDA itself concedes that up to 5% of the GM fish are actually fertile. So some frankenfish in your dish. Yummy. Also, studies sound of red alert on beef's global warming toll. The best way to cut your food-related carbon footprint is probably not to eat any meat, but you're not willing to go that far. And a new study breaks down the greenhouse gas emissions, GHGs, of different types of meat, and beef is by far the worst. Research published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences have found that livestock emissions are on the rise, and that beef cattle are responsible for far more GHGs than other animals, including chicken and pork. Meat production's heavy environmental toll is not new, but the scale is surprising. The study found that beef requires 28 times more land to produce than pork or chicken, 11 times more water, and the result is 5 times more GHG emissions. A similar study published in the journal Climate Change this week found that from 1961 to 2010, global GHGs from livestock increased 51%. Much of this is due to increased demand for meat, especially in developing countries. So even as developed countries curtail demand and become more efficient producers, the scale of the problem is growing along with the global GHG contractions. This is GHGH. The developing world is getting better at reducing greenhouse emissions caused by each animal, but the improvement is not enough to upset with the demand for across the world, said Dario Castro, a researcher on the study. As a result, greenhouse gas emissions from livestock keeps going up and up and up in much of the developing world. Researchers found that beef and dairy cattle account for about 3/4 of livestock-related GHG emissions, and 54% coming from beef cattle and 17% from dairy cattle. That's pretty crazy. Eat it up. And this one pretty interesting. Hemp seed-eating village in China holds the oldest, healthiest people in the whole world. There is a man in Bolivia said to be the oldest living person in the world at 123 years. A village in China is boasting ages far older than global averages, and a few suffer from any health problems. Scientists believe that the secret of their diet is actually contained in what they eat, and that is hemp seed oils and water. Now, it helps that the water and the air in Bamayomo, China are exceptionally clean, and that their food contains noticeably less fat, animal protein, salt, and sugar than, let's say, the standard American diet. But according to some experts, the villagers consume a super high food in essential fatty acids, omega-3 and 6, and is also part of the reason why they live so long. The primary source of receiving these fatty acids is through a diet rich in hemp seed. Life expectancy in Bamayaho are well over 100 years of its inhabitants, one of only 5 places on the planet where people can expect to live so healthily for so long. Sancharian hotspots called blue zones include Italy, Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa off of Japan, and the peninsula of Costa Rica. Among these rare places, there are commodity of lifestyle habits. They eat a plant-based diet, high in water and no other fluids, and hemp seed oils. So I thought that was pretty interesting. This vampire Illuminati worshiping bitch, Lana Del Rey, who I think is kind of sexy, and I kind of like her music, but yeah, I slept with a lot of guys in the music industry, and she's all about the occult shit, so you gotta watch out for these motherfuckers, man. A lot of these people that you're letting your kids listen to, not good. Now we'll get into a little shockingtimes.co.uk. Shocking. 9-year-old boy remarries 62-year-old woman in South African ceremony. That's definitely not God. The ceremony took place in front of approximately 100 guests in South African village. I wanted to get married because I really did want to. I'm happy that I married, but I want to go to school and study hard. When I'm older, I want to marry a lady my own age. That's not God. Death-defying blowjob.
The obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed
informed of all developments.
All types of news articles like that on here. A 32-year-old Japanese artist called Ayumi Aoshia has been arrested on obscenity charges in Japan after disturbing images of her vagina were suitable for 3D printers. Golden Debate Show, Golden Show, GoldenMoneMod.com. Get the word of the show out live from FEMA Region 1. We up out of here. Peace. Aloha. Arrivederci. Hasta de vista. Hasta the way it goes. Ciao. Sayonara. Good golden journey. See you on the flippity flip. Like, comment, share, and download GoldenMoneMod.com. Now that's a lot of gold. Like that. Woo! In your hood. Golden shows. Golden votes. Stroll like you already know who to blame. Golden. Yeah. Open minds, not empty ones. Challenge. And let the debate begin. Open minds, not empty ones. Golden Debate Show, Golden Show, Golden Cuts, Golden Grill, early morning mad dad can. Get the word of the show out.
I don't know. This don't make no sense, everybody.